Well, we got a new leak today that if it is true, because there is still some debate on whether it's for sure or not, but if it were true and we were to believe it, things kind of would fall into place a little bit and make more sense with some of the decisions we've seen EA make over the last, I don't know, let's say a month or two maybe, with the power curve going really fast and the market crashing and other decisions like that. I think it's definitely worthy of discussion. And aside from that, guys, we have like Player of the Month nominees, and I don't know what the hell this content has really been recently. If you guys would like to buy coins, you can go to mmoxp.com. There will be a link in the description down below. They are the cheapest and the safest option. You could use my code JFC at checkout for an 8% discount. I know some of you guys in the comments, I read some comments yesterday that were like, yeah, I think the content's not that bad. If you're having fun, I'm very happy for you. I obviously want everybody to have fun in the game, but I don't know what the hell this is. I mean, the Ultimate Immortals pack grind, open 80 plus picks, question. I mean, what's after this? I mean, I don't know what the plan is here, and I'm not even loading up the game to talk about it because there just isn't anything to really discuss. There's not much to say other than promo bad, so I'm not even gonna bother with that. You see it all over Reddit and Twitter right now anyway. So this video will probably not be as long as usual if I had to guess, but we'll see how much time we take talking about that new leak. But okay, we got two things to talk about first before the leak, and we'll start with these because it's really not that big of a deal, but we kind of want to talk about them still. Liga and Player of the Month nominees, you've got Bireth, Dembele, and Doué there. So Dembele possibly could win it again. I tried to see on the tracker if there was a goal and assist counter. I didn't see one yet. If you guys have an inkling or an idea of who could win this, then let us know in the comment section. But this will come out, I think, not for another week at least, I believe. And next up, there was this AC tweet where he tweeted out predictions for week 2. None of these guys are confirmed at all or anything. They're just predictions here that he does like once a week, basically. And this guy replied to him and said, 0 menu grind, no point logging in. And then AC replies with this emoji. Now, what the hell does that mean? I'm not sure. It's kind of a strange emoji to reply with. If you maybe didn't know something, you can tell it's a slow news day when we're reading into emojis, but I don't know why you'd tweet this. If maybe you didn't have some knowledge of a pack that was coming or something, or some sort of grind on the way. But yeah, guys, there's pretty much nothing to discuss here for right now, FC25 content-wise and leaks-wise, other than just maybe the exchange packs, the tradable exchange packs we haven't seen yet. That, I say exchange packs, they could be. It's honestly probably unlikely they will be. They might just be tradable champs rewards, tradable store packs, a 90x4 pack we saw I think a couple days ago, whatever it was. That and the Munain flashback, there's nothing we haven't seen yet. But okay, let's begin with what was kind of the talk of the town today, and this just came out I think 4 minutes ago from when I'm recording this video. Witcher made this tweet, and this does make things a little more interesting for me, and I'll talk about why in a sec, because Witcher is like super reliable when it comes to the new FIFA or FC game. He has like all the leaks for that. He tweets out this thinking emoji, which I'm going to get into in one sec. But we did see news today that the FC26 logo got leaked, and it was by PlayStation Game Size 2, who says EA Sports FC26, and it's just 2 screenshots of an FC26 logo. Now, a couple things immediately with this, though, that were kind of weird was that you can see the FC26. You can see the 6 on both of these are not the same. So would that be like what you'd expect to see on something that was official? You know, would you expect that? That is kind of strange, but also it's a source that this guy just tweets out news, right? He's got 21.7K posts. He just tweets out gaming news. Like, what would be the reason to attempt to fake this? There's also like no real motive there either. And you might be saying, okay, we knew this game was coming out. Like, why is it a big deal news-wise? The only reason it's a big deal news-wise is because this is like by far the earliest it's ever been leaked. Usually it's in July, right? We're 2 months before that now. And we already, if the leak is to be true, we already do have it leaked. So that was stirring up discussion, and we'll talk about what that might mean here in one sec. But that Witcher tweet now shines a little bit of a new light on this, because he does have a lot of information, right? I was waiting to see if him or Mateus Gamer made a tweet about like this new logo, and he tweets out this with the thinking emoji, which tells me probably one of two things here. One, the thinking emoji means like, I'm not sure if this is legit, right? Like this might be fake. Or what the thinking emoji means is that this is legit. Why do we have it so early? And that's where the debate has begun over the last about hour or so. And you can see the replies down here. If we click translate, it's all Witcher, will it come out earlier this year? This guy says, will it be sooner this year? This has been the rumor for the last couple of years. Last year during FC25's like rumor mill peak, right? There was a rumor that it was going to come out actually a lot earlier because they want to have it match up with the beginning of the new season. So say maybe end of August, right? Or beginning of August even, if you want to go even earlier. That was the rumor. It was like, okay, it's going to be an August release date. That obviously didn't come to fruition. We've heard nothing about that for FC26, but if there was some validity to that rumor, maybe they delayed that sort of early release date for FC26. And that that could be why we have the logo already that just came out today. And then if you were to sit back and say, okay, the game's going to release earlier next year and like the beginning of August, let's say that maybe like the first week of August, a month and a couple of weeks sooner this year, it would make more sense then as to some of the stuff we've been seeing. The power curve moving like crazy this year. The Playstyle Plus changes, some of the promo stuff, they would have to basically not account for another whole month and a couple of weeks of content. They wouldn't have to worry about it because FC26 would already be out. Now, there is some debate about, if this was the case, would we have heard about this already? My guess would be we'd probably start to hear about it about right now. So if this were to be true, this would kind of start to pick up. We would kind of start to hear over the next month or so more information regarding an earlier FC26 release date. But it does make sense when you think about these just weird decisions we've been seeing. They've been going all out for monetization for Evos. They've been going all out making Evos better and better. Right now, content is just it's in a weird spot right now that you just go everywhere. It's just complaints. And I understand that we complain about, we complain about a lot. Okay, that's undoubtedly the case where we can all kind of agree on that. But some of the content decisions, some of the over-the-top power curve decisions, that could point to hey, this game cycle literally isn't going to have as long of a cycle as they usually do. So we can kind of go over the top extreme a little bit earlier this year. Yeah, if this leak was true, things would maybe fall into place some. I still think it's less likely that's true than it actually isn't true. I would still, like, if I had to bet money on it, I would still guess the game comes out around the same time as it does every year, like late September. Now, we do have to keep in mind here that Fraud Zone does agree with this take. So that immediately puts the chances of this actually coming true at about a 40% less of a chance, just warning you right now. So the Fraud Zone curse is like the Jim Cramer curse if you're into stocks. It's like the inverse Jim Cramer. It's the inverse FUT Zone, okay? This guy says something, it probably isn't true, but the first guy in the replies said the same thing I did, where it's like maybe that's why the power curve is moving so fast this year. Now that would just at least make a little bit of sense as to some of the decisions they've done. Okay, we're just trying to put some rationale behind it because it is interesting, and if that logo is legit, then it is just the earliest it's been, right? So there is some fair speculation to be had here. Now also what could go against that too is that we're getting a lot of new stuff added into the game mid-cycle this year. Would they add these super sub items in? And it's funny because this patch notes I think was like March 14th, I want to say was the exact date. Okay, I found the date right here, March 10th, 2025. We're a month from this and we don't have the super sub items yet. Would they add like new features into the game plus a new card type basically when we're in April, and if a new game is coming out in August, it'd maybe be less inclined to do that? There is some things that maybe would point towards the opposite of an earlier release date, seeing all these new features they added in this year. But I don't know, it's just interesting. It's an interesting thought, and let me know what you guys think too in the comments. And I was very interested to see what Witcher or Mateus Gamer said about this. I think tomorrow we'll have some more information about this. I think tomorrow we will probably see a couple tweets from like a little more reliable sources that will be like, yes, this is legit and this could mean something, or they might say like, I don't believe this is even a real leak in the first place. So I do think tomorrow, like a day after that, maybe just soon, we will probably hear another piece of news here. And also what could be a point for the FC26 is going to come earlier camp, I guess, is that we did hear a lot of licensing news very early on this year, like Brazilian League. The Mexican League is confirmed to be in next year's game, and that was in, I want to say, January that was confirmed. Like, that is pretty early on, even though you would expect that would probably be about when they would do it. We just usually never see leaks for that kind of thing that early, so maybe you could suggest then too with that in the Brazilian League that we did hear some miscellaneous news pretty early this year that maybe could be something. And also the open world stuff, we've been hearing about that for the last couple of years, but that was more of an EA statement that they made. So I think it was maybe their shareholders, they were like, we're gonna do this, in the future FIFA. So that was more so like just the result of a shareholders conference. So I wouldn't take too much stock into that. But yeah, people said the hero stuff too. We already know some of the heroes added in the game next year. Keep in mind, this probably also has nothing to do with it coming earlier or not. Because I saw a reply somewhere where someone's like, yeah, when I saw the heroes leaked early, I was suspicious. It's like, this really didn't have anything to do with it. This was more so the FC mobile stuff, or the FC online stuff that we know will be now in FC26 and FC mobile next year. But yeah, just warning you guys, we're into what, day 4 of Immortals? It's Tuesday. Day 4 or 5 if you count Friday, right? We've still got another week and a half left of this promo, so it's not over anytime soon. Sorry, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And okay, because it's kind of all the news, let's read some more comments today. We've got E-Rock, who says, why does every card need to be 3 playstyle pluses? And he continues down here by saying, Evos also give our squads more variety. I've continued to change my squad throughout the year because of Evos. Cards are similar stat-wise, but it keeps it fresh for me anyway. And that's where I think there's two camps of people. There's a camp of people that like how this is, and you can change change your team a lot right now because a lot of players are within the power curve and they're good enough, right? They're not going to be like the most insane cards that will beat out your strikers in your main team per se, right? Because like Gerd Muller, is he going to be in your main team? Some of you, yes, but most of you, no. But he's still absolutely usable nonetheless. And any Evo that comes out, they're all usable. They're just maybe not all that crazy good. And that's where some people like that because you can use a ton of different players and they kind of all will be about the same. There will be some players like R9s and stuff who are better, but most players in the game, by players I mean cards, most cards in the game are going to do mostly the same stuff, which in a way is good because then you have a lot of variety in squads. But then some people don't like that because it feels like the content that comes out on a day-to-day basis doesn't change their team or anything, doesn't help go towards something new. And I think that there is somewhat of a problem with that because you shouldn't always be needing to increase and make your team better and better and better all the time. But if you want to play that way, then you should be able to, right? And there are a lot of people that play this game as I just want to get the best team I possibly can all year, and that's all I want to do. I want the R9s, Mbappe's, Van Dijk's, like I want the best versions of all those cards, and I'm willing to put in the time to get that, even if it's 8 hours a day in the menu grinding in this game, which sounds crazy, but there is people willing to do that, and there just is no way to do that. So I think there is some, I think, truth in both sides really there, and I know I say that a lot, but there really is truth to me in both sides where it's like you shouldn't need to play the game as, hey, I only worry about my main team, and if it doesn't get in my main team, then I hate the card and the SBC and the content's dog shit that day. But then also EA kind of make the game set up to be that way in a sense. You have to kind of make your own fun, and EA sometimes I think forget that there's things they can do to really help with the fun aspect, and they've done some of that recently with Evos and stuff. But game mode wise, like I talked about yesterday, they could be doing such a better job making this content interesting by doing different things in different game modes, and they don't do that for some reason. And Boring Ned here at a long comment, but in the summary, he said he got the game for the first time in 8 years this Christmas, and he's really enjoyed it, honestly. He says there's been some bad things and some not so great things, but he's mostly enjoyed it. He says the one thing that has been nice is I've managed to get a great team being free to play, which I didn't think was possible. So talk of EA needing to stop it kind of sucks for those who don't play as much or spend. And this is something that is important here because yes, it is true that EA have it set up in a way that the free-to-play player probably will never get the R9. They'll never get the top end cards, right? The best two strikers in the game, the promo card R9, the promo card Cruyff. Like they're probably not going to get that. They can get pretty much everything else, and that is something that we do need to be aware that could not be the case. There is a world that we have seen before in previous FIFAs that it is worse than that, and there's also a world that it could be better and that you can actually grind your way up to the best cards in the game, and that is what we had in FIFA 19. We had that system, but EA didn't like that, so I don't honestly think we'll ever get that back. So if we want to change this system right now, I honestly would guess it only gets worse and doesn't get better. I don't think we're going to end up with a system again where we can grind up to get a promo card Ruud Gullit, right? Ironically enough, there's an SBC Ruud Gullit out right now, but say there was a 12 mil Ruud Gullit that was in FIFA 19, say Icon Moments Ruud Gullit, you could literally grind League SBCs to get 12 mil tradable coins to get him. Like that was possible. And since that time, it hasn't been possible, and that's what we've wanted back in the game, and I don't think we will ever see that again. Should it be a thing? It absolutely should be, but I do think that it could get worse than this. I think that we're in a not bad spot for a free-to-play player, considering how bad it could be, and considering EA's track record, right? It's obviously not perfect. Like, if you spend a lot of money in the game, you do get advantages, of course, which people would argue that that's how it should be, right? So there's a lot that plays into it, but I just worry that sometimes it could get worse than this, and I don't know if we might end up in one of those situations that we didn't realize what we had until it was gone, and, you know, the free-to-play player had it okay, at least, for the last few years, and then, you know, say in FC 27, it's like shit again. But like I said, I mean, who knows? It could end up being way better. It could, but I don't know. We got Pierce who says there either seems to be too much to do on this game or nothing. And this is I think a great way to put it, is that there are some times in this game where you're like, holy shit, there's so much to do. And then there's some times where it's like, you don't even want to go on and log on to the game. And I think this is more so, to me, like a missed potential thing. Like, there can be so much to do constantly, and there always is things to do. But yes, I think when the game's at its best, there can be so much to do, so much interesting shit on the game that you want to complete and do. And they're like, really at its peak, this game can be amazing. I think we wouldn't play the game if it couldn't be that way. So I think it's more so a missed opportunity from EA rather than a strategy. Maybe it's a strategy. I'm not sure if there's some sort of psychological psychological thing there where, for example, Team of the Season's coming out in a couple of weeks. Maybe right now they want there to be like nothing on the game so that you're more inclined then to come back for Team of the Season when things ramp up again. Is there maybe some data that the psychologists have that say like, hey, if you delay gratification or whatever, delay some of the good content, have a week and a half of kind of some bullshit, and then bring them back again, you're more likely to keep them around longer? I'm not sure. And in this comment as well from Radu, I think, who says, sometimes I watch your videos and I get frustrated with EA, and then I play a couple games in Rivals, and suddenly I'm not frustrated with EA anymore. This game is exactly what this community deserves. Not every single individual, of course, but the amount of people time wasting, etc. And he goes on and on about just like the bullshit, the toxicity, right? I'm sorry, but these people simply don't deserve a better game. And there is, I mean, we do need to, as a community, as a whole, because obviously I think most people that are like here are probably not like this. It's probably more so the younger kids who probably don't watch my content that's not TikTok brained. But I do think absolutely we can't deny the fact that we as a community are extremely toxic. And I think EA set the game up that way to really enhance that. I definitely do think so. So it's not blameless in terms of EA. However, if we didn't do any of it, it wouldn't happen, right? So we still have to look in the mirror and say, as a community, we are pretty fucking toxic. And that is a big part of people's enjoyment with the game sometimes. And I think it shouldn't be that way. I think you should, you know, people are going to be toxic everywhere you go, and you have to kind of ignore it, right? Ideally, you ignore it, but it's hard as it's human nature to not ignore it and then get pissed off about it when someone's being toxic to you. So much easier said than done. But at the same time, we have to look in the mirror sometimes and say, yeah, we need to not, as a community, be as toxic as we are, because I think we are. A lot of the time we are, and it's undeniable. Now, whether you think that's like we deserve the bullshit because we're toxic, that's obviously up for debate, but I think everyone can agree on like, hey, let's take a chill pill. We're all in this together. We play the same game. We love the same sport. We love 99% of the same exact shit, yet somehow, some way, when you're playing against somebody, they're like your mortal enemy, and you won't give them free wins. Like, people don't give people free wins. I mean, it's the most ridiculous shit. Like, we're all playing the same game, trying to do the same stuff, dealing with the same delay, doing the same objectives, trying to get the same stuff, but somehow, some way, like, that guy's your mortal enemy, and fuck that guy. I mean, it's just, it's dumb. But okay, yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you all for joining and being here. I said this video was going to be shorter. I don't think it was shorter, but I will see with the editing how short this was. But thank you for being here. I love you all. Everyone, peace.